What's going on, world? This is Tyson Paul, and welcome to We on the Laughs with Tyson Paul, the show where we get some of your favorite comedians and talk about everything comedy. Tonight, we got a very special guest. This man has been doing comedy for less than 5 years, but when you say his career credits, you would think he was doing it for 20. He's been all over the U.S. performing at historic clubs all over. He has a comedy special out right now, and he's done festivals in San Francisco. But he calls Northern California the place where he got his comedy start. Let's give it up for Mr. Paul Conyers.
Thank you very much. Hey, what up, everybody? What up, We on the Laughs Nation? Thank you so much.
He's a very energetic guy. We're gonna get to know a lot about him.
I am. So. It's hard not to be. Also, it's Thursday, and I'm like 5 or 6 deep, so. I'm going to be pretty energetic. You're going to get a lot out of me this interview.
Oh my God, this is totally white privilege at its finest and stuff. So
100%.
So life's been treating you well, Paul. As you can see, life.
How could it not? I'm a tall white guy. I mean, things are just gonna open up for me.
or open down. But,
yeah, exactly.
So we usually like to get started by asking like some of our comics the question that everybody wants to know: what are your first earliest memories of comedy in general? Like, what do you remember first when it comes to the word comedy?
I'll tell you the first time that I was like doing comedy and I didn't really even know what it was, but it was the thing that was like, oh, okay. That's a new thing. It was when I was doing show and tell in kindergarten, and I don't know how old you are, Tyson, but I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but the WWF used to have those like plush wrestling dolls,
wrestling buddies,
yeah, those guys. I had the Hulk Hogan. And he's in my closet right now. I've had him for 31. I've had him for like 31 years. He's covered in stains. He's disgusting. I'm not going to bring him out, but he's literally 6 feet away from me. And I brought him to show and tell, and I was just kind of showing him off. And I remember, there was like the kids ask questions, and they're like, "Hey, do you ever wrestle with him? And do you beat him up?" And I said, "Yeah, I go like this," and I punched him, and I hit him, I knocked him down, and it made the whole class laugh. And instantly I was like, whoa, okay, all right, I kind of dig this, okay. And I've literally been chasing that feeling for 30 years now. It's just been me punching a plush Hulk Hogan over and over again. That's been that. So that was when I was like, oh, that's comedy. My first actual memory of seeing stand-up comedy was I was watching Gallagher with my dad. And I remember it was not even like I didn't really care about the watermelon smashing. That was even like as a 8-year-old where I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But I remember him talk just like very clever wordplay. Him saying like, oh, why do they call it a building when they're not building anymore? I call it built, and just like little like things like that. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then when I was 13, my parents went shopping at Sam's Club, which is like a big Costco. It's like Walmart's Costco. So I knew they were going to be gone for a while. And so I knew I had HBO all to myself. And I turned on George Carlin's special, You Are All Diseased. And I watched it. And that was the first time that I was like, holy shit, like this is what comedy can be. Like, I thought it was just telling like one-liner jokes like Gallagher and just, making simple wordplay. But like, George Carlin is like picking apart the fabric of our institutions and stuff. And I was like, even as a 13-year-old, I was like, I can't believe what I'm listening to and watching. This is amazing. And it was like, it was like heroin to me. I could not get enough of it from that point on.
Yeah, no, I think with a lot of comics, it's very like comics our age. We definitely find inspiration in the same type of because we all grew up around the same time, and we all find inspiration. And it's funny that we all found inspiration from HBO.
Yeah,
because,
right.
For me, HBO, like we didn't get HBO, but we got HBO. Like it was scrambled.
Yeah, you
It
ain't
was
got to dime
scrambled.
out your parents. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was literally scrambled. It was just like scrambled stuff, but you can hear the
Yeah.
audio, and it was crazy
Uh-huh.
that like, cause we were still into it because it was HBO. We were like, we didn't
Right.
care if like it could have been just a black screen, but just the audio of it was like great. Cause I remember like the one of the first HBO specials I saw like was like Jamie Foxx straight out the foxhole, but
Oh,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
We didn't see it. We just
Mm-hmm.
got to hear it. But when you
Mm-hmm.
heard it, like it was still the same. It was still like you could have seen it too. And I think that's how like a lot of comics our age, basically like why we're so descriptive with our words and stuff. Like people can sit in the show, keep their eyes closed, and still know exactly what we're doing and what's going on by the way we describe our jokes and everything. And then the funny thing is, like, I remember wrestling buddies. I remember that my mom could never afford a wrestling buddy. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is another way that you're like just basically white privileging
I
us
hate
right
to I
now.
hate to bring it up, but all right.
Yeah, no, because like we could never afford wrestling buddies. Like we didn't want Hulk Hogan either. We wanted Ultimate Warrior. So the
Uh-huh.
fact
Yeah.
that you kept your wrestling buddy for 30 something years is still because like I still have friends that are like, yeah, I still got my wrestling buddy. Like, well,
Oh,
my mom
yeah.
never bought me a wrestling buddy, so I should probably rob you.
Yes.
Like I should come to your house. I still want a
Oh,
wrestling
man.
buddy.
I tell you, what is it about? Like, no. I swear to God, all my black friends that you watched wrestling back then, they all are like, fuck Hulk Hogan. Ultimate Warrior was my
Ultimate
guy.
Warrior was all about Ultimate.
That's
It was all about
that's
Ultimate Warrior
crazy,
for some
man.
reason. I don't know why. It was just
Which
we
I
just
mean,
didn't
Hulk
like
Hogan was the one that was like, "I'll tell you something, brother." I mean, at least he was like, he was reaching across the aisle.
I think it was because we could sense the racism in him.
Oh yeah, I mean
I guess years later.
That's pretty intuitive to like have a beat on it like 30 years ahead of time. Like I
I
don't
don't want
know.
his wrestling buddies. There's
I'm gonna-
something up with that
I'm
guy.
I'm gonna
His neck
finish
is just
this.
too red.
Yeah, this dude is way too pro America.
Yeah.
He's way too patriotic. I just think
Yeah.
that he's got a tinge of Proud Boy in him, and we got to keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah, it's just like because I even remember like WrestleMania when it was Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Like all the black dudes wanted Ultimate Warrior to win.
Yeah.
Like, all the white dudes cried when Hulk Hogan won. We was all in elementary school. I don't care. Like Ultimate Warrior won.
Oh, man.
we don't care and stuff.
God.
So, but yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny what we remember, man. And
Yeah.
stuff. And then like so. I mean, I know how like you got like your first memories of stand-up comedy, but I want to kind of know like because every comic has that point where like they're not doing comedy yet, but they're really intrigued into start doing stand-up. So when was that for you?
I'll tell you what, man. Honestly, I wanted to do stand up like my whole life, and it really was like this is what I want to do, and I had aspirations for like, oh, I want to be on SNL and I want to be in movies like growing up, and slowly I kind of beveled it down to just doing stand up. But I mean that it really was always like the thing that I wanted to be growing up, and so yeah, I think like as I got out of college, I was like, hey, this is the thing. I want to go for this, and so yeah, I did. But I mean, if I mean, I'm 34, so if you're listening to this, you're like, okay, the math doesn't add up here. What happened was I got out of college when I was 24, and I did like a couple shows, but I ended up having a set that was so bad that I was like so humiliated that I ended up quitting for 6 years. So it took me 6 years to kind of get back on the horse after like this abysmal show that I had. But yeah, it's always been that thing that I was like, man, if I could do anything, like that would be that. And I honestly, that's been the case since I was like in 5th grade or something like that.
Mm. And like, so when you were in college, did you just like, because I'm pretty sure you went to comedy shows in college, like, and then you're from Sacramento, and like they have 2 legendary comedy clubs right there, and like they're always doing classes, I'm pretty sure, and stuff like. So like, what made you not do it in college? Like, did you just think that you couldn't do it until you finished college, or did you?
I kind of did. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I think I was making excuses for myself because like I played college basketball, and so I thought like, okay, I can't do it, which was perfectly true for like most of the year. But there's no reason that I couldn't have, gone and tried some open mics like in the off season or something. Like during the season, yeah, it's like it's pretty tight. You really like between ball and school, like, and then actually trying to have a social life. There's just not a lot of free time. But I think I was just making the excuse of like, I just need to get through college and then I'll try it. But I mean, yeah, it was 100% in the back of my head. And I was, always like trying to be, the funny guy. Cause I was sure as shit not the good at basketball guy. That was not my role on the team.
But you got a college scholarship.
I mean, I got a partial scholarship, but again, it was the NAIA. It wasn't even NCAA. So I mean, it's like if you can dribble, like they're at least going to look at you.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But still, you still can use that as a credit. Like
exactly.
Hey, I had a partial scholarship.
I still say you can look me up. I am on ESPN's website because they just have a chronicle of like every athlete that's ever been in college sports. Yeah. And because I played against 2 D1 schools in my 4 years at college. I'm on their like stat thing. It shows like my points per game and all that shit. It's crazy.
Oh man, like ESPN just has it in the headers. Well, somebody had to drop 40 points on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like somebody had to guard him for him to shoot 40. I mean,
yeah.
to him to score 40. Yeah. I hold that 42 points against me with honor and stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, when you say you were funny in college and stuff, do you think you were doing comedy without knowing that you were doing comedy?
100%. Yeah, because I was planning for being a comedian, so I was trying to think like, okay, what kind of comedian am I going to be like when I start doing comedy? So, and I've always kind of thought in bits, that they weren't good bits or anything, but it like I've, even as a child, like I remember being like 16 and writing out sets, even though I didn't have the balls to go try them out somewhere, which is like, there's no excuse for that. If you got that much passion, you need to go try it. But I would just write it and then never do anything with it. But I've always kind of thought in bits. So yeah, I was like working on comedy like well before I actually like finally got back into it.
And then when you were around your family members and stuff like that, because that's another thing about comics, like we like are either the type of people that are funny around our friends and like dead silent around our family, or we're like funny around our family and then it makes us more comfortable with friends. So like, what were you when it came to family?
I was just obnoxious around everyone, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was trying out my shit anytime someone let me talk. So I mean, during the family grace, during hanging out with friends, during a presentation in social studies class. I mean, if there was an opportunity for a joke, I would say it. And it's like I probably hit about 30% like I do at like an open mic. 70% of the time it's not funny, but that 30%, that's what they're gonna remember. So that's what I was aiming at.
And you were probably you were like what we like to say a joke salesman. Like basically like you were just like saying things and like people knew you were trying to bid out on them, and then they tell you like, hey, look, you don't have to sell me.
Oh yeah.
Like just like if you want me to come to one of your shows, I'll come.
My best friend, he used to do this thing where because he knew, I mean, he just knew when I had a tell when I knew that when he knew I was about to like say something funny, like riff off something someone just said. And so he would pick it up and he'd be like, oh, everyone stop. Paul's about to say something funny. And it would step on, like, you can't say anything after that. And I was like, God damn it, Brian. I had something good there.
He said It's always that one friend. It's always
Yeah,
that one
I
friend.
mean,
Oh,
he
wait.
loved.
The comedy show's about to start.
Yes. Oh my God, he loved doing that. It was like his favorite thing for like. It was like a 2-year period where he loved doing that, and I wanted to kill him, but like he was right 100% of the time.
That's funny. Shout out to Brian.
Yeah, what up, Brian?
Man.
Piece of
Man.
shit.
Yeah,
Still one
man.
of my best friends to this day, but he's
Yeah. Oh yeah, he probably still does it to this day. Oh yeah. Hey.
If he picks up on it, yeah, guarantee you he's gonna be like, oh, Paul's gonna say something funny. Everyone, listen up.
Oh man, nah. So I guess this is a 2-part question. Like, okay, what do you remember most about the first time you went on stage, and then I guess like, what do you remember most about going back on stage after 6 years?
Wow, great question. What do I remember most about the first? So the first time I went on stage was at Rooster T. Feathers at their new talent showcase in Sunnyvale. Awesome club, and so yeah, they do a basically an open mic, but it's a showcase every Wednesday. You got to sign up for it. I mean, I brought like 15 screaming drunk college friends to the show. So honestly, I think if I remember, I really don't. Actually, I barely remember anything about the set other than I was given 4 minutes and I did 9 because I didn't understand how the light worked. So they were like lit. And these days, like before the pandemic, like Roosters, like if you go like 4 minutes and 20 seconds, they'll just cut the mic. They didn't do that back then. They were literally like knocking the light with like a hammer to make me to get my attention so I'd get off the stage. But yeah, I ended up doing 9. And I felt like I had a great set, and I was like, but I brought like 15 friends that they were laughing their ass off when I cleared my throat. So, I mean, I was like, well, I'm God's gift to comedy. And it turns out that wasn't the case. And the thing that I remember, because when I got back on stage, I went to the open mic at Tommy T's in Pleasanton, and I went with my friend, my buddy Troy, also one of my very, very good friends, and I remember like it was just comics there basically, and Troy was like, he was the insightful one because I'd never really been to a real open mic at that point. So I didn't know that it was all comics. I mean, obviously now we know like open mics, it's exclusively comics all the time. But he had the insight to say to me like, hey, everyone here is just there for them. Everyone's looking at their notebooks. They're all working on their own jokes. So you need to not worry about the laughs. You need to worry about your own shit, your timing. And I was like, man, that is great advice, because I went up there and I was like, I'm sure if I actually like saw the tape, I'd be like, okay, I didn't do anything of what I'm about to say, but like I tried to like be in the moment, not worry about the laughs, just try to work on the pacing and say everything right. And I remember getting off stage thinking like, okay, that wasn't bad, and I loved it. I mean, how can you kill at an open mic? I mean, I guess I've seen it done, but I did fine, which is like, it was passable. But even that little bit of success, I was like, oh shit, I'm hooked. That's what I remember really more than anything. I was like, I will never quit again. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. That's what I most remember about that set.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think we have similar first times.
No shit.
Yeah, because like I definitely went over on the light on mine, and I didn't bring 15 people. I think I brought like seven or 8 people.
Still pretty good.
I brought most of the crowd.
Yeah, the booker was happy with you, I'll tell you that.
No, he was not, because this is when I learned about the light. Because just like you, like nobody tells you what the light is on the first time. Like nobody tells. I guess they just set you up for failure and stuff like that. So I went up there thinking, and like I thought, like since this was my first time, I was so like naive and everything like that. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna do this time, and then HBO is gonna call me next week, and I'm gonna do a special. Yeah. And so I go up there. And like I didn't even really remember the dude saying like 5 minutes. I think he just said you got 5, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, and I'm thinking like, okay, I got 5 jokes. Okay, so I gotta make these jokes each like 12 minutes a piece. I guess.
Yeah, right.
Because I gotta entertain the whole night. So I did it, and then like they kept flashing the light. And I didn't really notice it. Actually, I was talking shit about the light, and then like they flashed like this like neon light, and then they flashed another light, and then they just told the DJ to turn the music on. And when the DJ turned the music on, it was so embarrassing. Like I was like, man. Oh my god, like what happened? Like my career stopped. My career came to a stop before it started. And
you missed every flag they were throwing up. That is so funny.
Yeah, I missed everything. And then to make matters worse, the host came back on stage, and he was like a legendary comic, I guess. And his name was Daryl Keatle. I'll never forget that. And like he went back on stage, and I guarantee he roasted me for 5 minutes. He was like, "I'm gonna do the time that you were supposed to do and just talk about you." and like he had everybody laughing. And then it's like what you talked about, like with like your friends and stuff, like coming, like it's a gift and a curse. Like you have your friends and family members come, and like they're never gonna tell you that you did.
Of course not.
And stuff that like even if it wasn't like. It wasn't that great, even in your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like you did that great. They'll tell you did bad, like, when you're, like, more into it. Like, okay, like, obviously, you want to make this a career. So, like, let's, like, stop lying to you right now. But
that's
like,
fucking hilarious.
When I tell you, my friends, like, you would have thought, like, after I got off stage, you would have thought I was doing Def Jam. Like, my friends pumped me up. My brother, and my cousin pumped me up. So, well, my twin brother, he's been real with me since day one. He was like, that was horrible. You need to like do this. But my cousin was like, oh man, you about to be on Def Jam next week, man. I can't believe it, man. Great. My cousin's a comedian. Yeah. And then all my other friends, they were cool about it and stuff. And like, so it was like kind of like up in the air. Like I thought I did bad, especially when the guy hit the music. But like, since everybody's telling me that I did good, I was like, all right, cool. Like at least I can keep doing this. I can just learn from it and stuff, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And stuff. But yeah, no. And then like, and the funny part, like, cause I want to know, like, okay, so you didn't bomb like right away, but you bombed one show, and then, but you did have other shows before that were great. Like, why'd you stop? Like, why'd the 6 years happen?
It really was because of that one show. I only did stand up like 3 times. I did that one show at Roosters where I quote unquote killed. And I mean, I've got the video. Like, yeah, I had a good set. It was fine. I'm not, it wasn't like nearly as great as I thought it was, but whatever. I did fine. I mean, they knew it was my first time, so the audience was giving me a lot of love. And then I did like one more other set, and then I did this show. It was actually one of Kabir's shows. I got hooked up with Kabir Singh, and it was at the San Jose Improv. It was the first night of his outsourced comedy tour, but and dude, I just did everything wrong. I did everything wrong you could have done because people were I mean, I'd done the big show at Roosters, and I did one small little show that really barely even counts at a class at Santa Clara University. And so I really don't even count that. So I got, a friend of a friend hooked me up with Kabir, and he was like, yeah, I'll put you on my show at the San Jose Improv this night. And I remember, my friends were like, "Oh, okay, you're going to do the same material again." And I was like, "No, I'm done with that material. I'll write new stuff." So I did brand new, like totally untested material at the San Jose Improv. When like if I had any friends in stand up, they would have told me like, "No, you idiot. You need to not only do the same material that you did that worked, you need to like go to like 10 open mics between now and then and hone that material and get it really tight." But I didn't know that, so I just walked out with like totally, unproven material. And it was wild because it was actually it's funny because you're wearing the garb that you're wearing. This was back in 2010 in October. This was this was during the World Series against the Rangers. So the Giants were like in the midst of like hopefully winning what would ultimately be their first World Series.
Yeah.
And this was it was game 2 that night against the Rangers. It was game 2, and I was on at the Improv, and I remember I got there, and I it's just one of those things where like I got up to the green room at the Improv. And it was my first time in a green room, and it's the Improv is it's a very large green room, very comfy. And I remember like I was just looking at all these comics that were just kind of like chopping it up and talking shop and everything, and I was like, oh man, like this isn't gonna go well. I just immediately knew. I was like, this is gonna be bad. And I immediately started like scratching my notes and stuff because like I really didn't commit any of the new stuff that I had written to memory because I didn't do that with the first bit or with the first set, and it did great. So I was like, well, if it worked once, it'll work twice. But immediately I was like, this is not going to go good. So I need to I try frantically scribbling my notes, and I go on stage. And I remember I said, like, the first thing I said was like, yeah, fuck the Rangers. And it got, a good pandering, like, applause, just like the lowest bar that you could possibly clear for a comic. If you're playing to a crowd whose home team is playing in the World Series against that team. And then I went into like new stuff, which was just not working at all. And I was getting like radio silence. And by the way, so I should mention, when I say I brought 15 screaming drunks to the first show, I mean like I brought 2 real friends and then like 13 people that they knew. I didn't know these fucking people. So I didn't really know anyone from that show, but my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, I told her, I was like, do not come to the first show. I want to make sure I don't suck so I don't embarrass myself. But once I quote unquote killed at the first show at Roosters, I was like, oh, by all means, yeah, bring everyone. So I had like my real friends at the San Jose Improv. And so they got to see me like bombing. And it got so bad that like at one point in the set, I was holding the mic and I stepped on the mic cord and I kicked it out of the microphone. And Tyson, we've plugged microphones in a million times, right? It's incredibly simple. You push the button, you line up the plug. You could do it in your sleep at this point, right? Well, you can't do it when you've never plugged in a microphone before and your hands are trembling because you are bombing in front of your friends and the girl you love. And it legitimately took me like 45 seconds. I considered just dropping it and walking off stage, and I finally got it plugged back in. And I was like, all right, go back to old material, go back to the stuff that like worked before. But it was too late. They hated me. Actually, like a minute after that, a woman stands up in the audience, and she got an alert on her phone, and she's like, Giants won, because they had just won. So she got the alert on her phone. So everyone's like high-fiving and cheering and everything like that. And then I have to like bring them back into the hell that I have created for them. And they were, I could see the look on their face where they were like so happy. And they were like, oh shit, we got to go back to this guy. Yeah. And I mean, I tried to get him back, and it didn't work. And I just like I slunk off stage, and it was so traumatizing. I really can't, like, it seems like a harsh word to use, but I was so like beaten down. Like, you have that thought in your head that like it's like that shower thought where you're like in the shower and you think of that embarrassing thing and you're just like, oh my God. Like that was my thought for like 6 years. And I could not get it out of my head. It was the most humiliating thing I've ever been through.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate because I've had friends like because when I started or was a couple of years in, like I had friends that always thought that they could do stand up just because they were funny around me,
right?
And stuff.
Yeah.
And like I did put them on a show and stuff, and they did the show, and I thought they did fine. I thought they
Yeah.
did fine. I mean, there was like a few times where it's like, I don't know, I was like, we'll see. But you know, they had friends and family there, so it seemed like they did fine. And then they just never did comedy again. They're just like, you know what, like I'm cool with just doing it the one time and everything. This just ain't for me. Like,
That's
I mean,
wild.
so like having tough skin, like, and then the night that you have, like, every comic has that night. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
every
exactly.
comic has that night, and
Yeah,
and we're all just like you, where it's like you just go home. It's like, man, is this
yeah.
comedy? This ain't for me. I don't know if it's
See,
for me, man. Like,
yeah.
because
And
I
I wish
remember.
that I had had, you know, that friend, you know, I was just so new. I didn't know anyone in comedy. And, you know, I wish I had that friend in comedy that had been like, you know, put his arm around me like, hey man, shake it off. Let's go hit a mic. I mean, we could have hit a mic that night probably down in the South Bay and, you know, just shaking it off completely. I mean, you know, I've had a fucking horrible shows and then I go to a mic and I get like 2 laughs. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. It's not bad.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
I shook it
you know,
off.
we've all had that, but like, you know, but I didn't even talk to the other comics after the show. I just stayed up in the balcony at the Improv and I just watched the rest of the show and I watched like every other comic. I watched them murder. That's one thing. So it's like, oh
Yeah,
wow, the crowd would suck that night. Nope, everyone killed.
nah.
This was my problem.
Yeah, that's everybody's night. That's every comic's like
Yep,
worst night where
and
they
we
bomb, but
all
everybody
have
else is
that.
doing good.
Yeah,
Everybody else is
we
killing
all,
it.
dude. That's happened so many times. It just happens. But again, I just didn't know, so I just had it in my head that I was like, this is because you're not funny and you suck and you can't do this as a profession. So
Yeah, no.
I just walked away and tried to do a real life for 6 years.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand, like, when it comes to comics and stuff. Like, you can say whatever you want about our set, like, and we won't care. But
Mm-hmm.
if we get the thought in our head that we are just like god awful, like, that's it. Like, nobody can snap us back to earth or anything like that.
Yeah,
We're just gonna be in a funk for,
yeah,
like, cause some people that could just like easily do it. Like, they'll like sit there and easily like just bomb and then keep going. And then there's times where you'd be like, man, I just bombed in front of like San Jose Improv, or like I
yeah.
bombed at like Hollywood Improv, man, and I just don't think comedy's for me. And we weirdly think that everybody remembers that set.
Yeah,
Like, everybody
exactly.
remembers that set
Yeah,
for the rest of our lives.
dude,
Like,
I guarantee you, like my wife, all my friends that like actually went to that show, I bet they I bet they wouldn't remember like one thing that I just said
nothing,
about that
nothing,
set. But it's
nothing.
like that's what like eats at you as a comic and probably like as a person. We all remember all of our embarrassing shit like that happened in 5th grade, but no one else does. But yeah, I mean, you just have to push past that. I mean, I've tried to like pay it forward. Like I've done it before where like I recognize like, hey, this guy just had like an awful set. So I'll literally grab him like, all right, come on, we're going to a mic right now. And we'll go and they'll have like, you know, a good mic and they'll be like, wow, I needed that. Needed it. Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, we all do. You just gotta, you're only as bad as like the last set you had, really. Like once you have that good set, it's like golfing, man. Like I hate golf and I don't do it anymore, but I used to have to for work when in the 6 years that I was trying to live a real life and have a real job. I'd have to go golfing with clients and I fucking sucked at it. And you spend 18 holes just yanking it left, right, hitting it into the dirt, topping the ball, hitting it 4 yards. But then like there's that one where you like get a hold of it and that thing just flies 200 yards and you're like, oh shit, all right, yeah, I'll stick with golf. That's comedy for the first while. Like that's what comedy is. It's like it's fucking up left and right, but getting that little taste, that one big laugh that just sails, you know, 200 yards and you're like, okay, I'll stick with that. That's what comedy is like when you first get started, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. You got to take the good with the bad. Like,
Yeah,
you just got to shoot every shot you can get and
dude.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
just
gonna happen to all of us over and over, and now it's like that's the part of the business that I love the most is that you're gonna like you hear about stories about Bill Burr bombed at the Comedy Cellar or something like that. You know why? It's because we're still such a niche, artistic form of art that there are people that are going to go to a comedy show that really have no idea who a guy like Bill Burr is. So they're like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but he's way too loud for me. I don't find this funny. So like we're going to bomb for the rest of our careers. But that's what I love about this business. That's what I love about comedy is that it's never going to let you get like unless you reach like Chappelle level, obviously, you're
still bombs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he like when he drops in and does the brand new stuff, it doesn't, he gets the celebrity laughs and stuff, but yeah, that's what I love about this business is that like, we're never going to be like LeBron James just hitting layups in an open gym. Like this is always going to be hard. It's always going to be a struggle. And that's the best part about it.
And never let you get too big. So 6 years and then you like fast track 6 years. Okay. You were doing the real life thing and then you come back. And when you came back, like basically it was like you never left. Like you picked up where, you basically left off and stuff, got back on stage, got your confidence back. Cause I feel like in that whole 6 years, you just lost your confidence and you were just trying to find ways to get back to it.
Yeah. 100%.
And so when you get back, you start doing festivals, you start, doing the World Series of Comedy. Like, I don't think people know how important the World Series of Comedy is for a comic.
Yeah.
And you've done it for a few years and actually you've been in the top 10, like in the past few years. What's it like being in the World Series of Comedy? How important is the World Series of Comedy for a comic trying to build their career? And like, what have you learned from the experiences that you've had with it?
Well, I'll make no bones about it. And I say this to anyone that asks, cause I've been extremely fortunate in the stuff that I've been able to do, in the last 4 years. And I've said like 90% of the cool shit that I've been able to do has been a direct result of the World Series of Comedy. Like almost every road gig I've gotten has stemmed in some form or another from the World Series. My record deal, World Series, just all sorts of stuff like that has come from the World Series. And I mean, the World Series, it's a really interesting festival because, they're very honest about what their target is. Like they want to help you get feature work on the road. Like that's their whole thing is like, hey, you're building your career in comedy. You can't get in with, you want to make a career out of this. That's great. Let's make you a road comic by getting you feature work on the road. And that's what they do. And I've been very fortunate with what I've been able to get from them. I mean, their format is great because they have these like 12 satellites all over the country where you are performing in these clubs that that's how I got into Laughs Unlimited, my home club that we were talking about before we went on air that I just headlined for the first time earlier this month. The first time that I was on that stage, it was for the World Series of Comedy. And that's how I got the bookers' attention. It's like, who knows how long that would have taken. I wouldn't be featuring if I hadn't done the World Series of Comedy with them. But so the satellites are great because you get in front of the bookers for these clubs, but then the main event is amazing because the judges that are judging your event, they are the bookers of comedy shows or comedy clubs all over the country. So they're looking at you and it's like, one person is going to win the World Series of Comedy. So, but it's like, it's not like they're there to book one person. They're there to find acts that they're like, oh, you would do great with my club, because my club caters to this audience. And the other guy's like, well, my club caters to this. So I think you would be perfect. So it allows you to kind of put yourself in front of, so it's like a job fair. You put yourself in front of so many bookers and you're like, hey, here's what I can offer. And then everyone's like, okay, I'll take you. I'll pass on that person. I'll take her. I'll take that guy. So it's great like that. But then also, you learn a lot from the seminars that they offer at the main event. They do like Booker's Q&A. They'll do a video clip breakdown where they'll be like, okay, see what this comic's doing right here? This makes me not book that comic. See what that comic's doing? I'm gonna contact that comic. I mean, that is invaluable. That is so like precious as a comic to like get inside a booker's head to hear like, oh, that's like, I didn't even know that's what they look for. It's just so much information. Like they try to say that the competition really is like 50% of what you should be getting out of it, which is true. Like you really like, there's so much more you should be getting out of the World Series of Comedy. And it's all the information and education and the networking that you get. I mean, most of the time the main event takes place in like some casino. A lot of times it's in Vegas, but they've had it in other places where it's like, hey, after the shows, all these bookers, hey, they're all drinking at this one bar. So, when else do you have an opportunity to come shake the booker's hand at some comedy club in Boston and be like, hey, my name is Paul. I'm from the Bay Area. I'd love to work at your club. Oh, really? Well, how long have you been doing it? What do you do? I mean, that's like where you can't do that when you're working an open mic or a showcase or anything like that. So, I mean, it really, like, again, I can't speak highly enough for what the World Series has done for me. And I understand that, people are going to take that with a big grain of salt because I just won the fucking thing. So people are going to think that I'm just being a homer. But I was saying this before I won the event. So, no.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and what's it like winning it after you've basically like been a finalist for like years before? Like, do you think do you need to go through that process in order to win it, or is it more like just, oh man, I just got lucky this year?
Well, I mean, I happened to progress. The 4 years that I did it, I did a little bit better every time. But it's funny because like last year or 2019, I guess, my buddy Ryan Goodcase, another Bay Area comic, he was like, hey man, I mean, you've done the World Series a couple of years. I mean, is it worth it? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's worth it. Just come in. You're going to like, you'll do your set. People are going to love you. The bookers are going to think you're a unique act. You're going to get a ton of work, and don't even worry about the competition. It's going to be fine. Like, forget the competition. You're just going to make some great connections. And then he goes and wins the whole fucking thing on his first try. And I was like, this little motherfucker, this talented son of a bitch. And I was like, well, shit, I guess sometimes if you're that good, it just happens. But so that happened. It happened for him that way. But me, I just made it a little bit further every time over the last 4 years, and it finally culminated with me taking home the top prize last November.
Yeah, no. I think one thing, like a lot of people that want to be comics or know people that are comics, like they don't really understand basically the work that nobody sees that you have to put in order to be a good comic, and that a lot of it comes from writing process. Like, what, like, do you still write? And like, how is your writing process now? Without giving away your whole technique, like, how do you think your writing process is now?
I'll give away everything I can. First of all, I totally agree that people, like they'll come to me after like an amazing show where it's like a full house. Whatever, it could be a comedy club, it could be whatever. and where you have like a great set, everyone's laughing, having a great time, you do a great job, and someone comes up to you afterwards and like, hey, that was so great, man. Hey, dude, this looks great. I'd love to do comedy. And you're like, yeah, like who would love to do this? But do you want to give up your Friday night so that you can go to an open mic in front of nobody and work on material and get zero reaction, but do it just so you can go through your rhythms and do it in front of people? Like, you don't want to do comedy. You want like the icing on top of comedy. You don't want like the guts, like you want the dessert, but you don't want to eat the veggies that comes before. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to eat the whole bowl of green beans that are just bland and disgusting and boring. You want the ice cream sundae, which is totally understandable. Most people just want the ice cream sundae. But comics are not, you can't get dropped off at the dessert cart, which is something that, I didn't understand when I did the San Jose Improv, and I had to find that out the very, very hard way. But that's what a lot of new comics find out. I've seen a million comics bring all their friends and their girlfriend to the first show, and they kill. And then it's like, they were like, hey, when's the next one? It's like, well, we can't get you on the next one, but there's a great open mic here, and we never see them again because they don't want to give up they don't want to give up 5, 6, 7 nights a week to do this. I mean, you got to be a little insane to want to do that. So I understand, but it's like, but at the same time, it's like when someone says, oh, I'd love to do stand-up comedy, it's like, no, you wouldn't. You want to take the jog around the bases. You don't want to do all the hitting practice that went into knocking that ball out of the park, So I forget what the hell. That was a long tangent. What the hell was your next question? The writing process. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, no, I still write a lot. A lot of comics are like, I write every single day. I can't say I write every single day. I try to work on my stuff every single day where it's like, oh, maybe I should try this or try that. So I do a lot of like editing throughout like every day, but I kind of just write when something like really hits me, and then I'll just write like a madman. But I mean, if I can pass along, just what I do, my process is like, I'm not a one-liner comic. I write very long paragraphs where it's like, it's just a whole page of shit, and there's a bunch of punchlines in them, sparse throughout it. So what I do is I'll write my stuff, and I'll write a big long paragraph, and then I'll just do my best to like commit the general idea like as much as I can to memory, and then I'll take that onto stage at like an open mic, and I'll see what I'll just kind of see how I feel about it. I'm not going to remember everything. I'm not going to remember 50% of it, but I'll try to remember the guts, and then I'll kind of go back and like, all right, did that feel like it worked? Like, were people following like the general, like the foundation of the joke? And if that's the case, then okay. And I'll do it like a couple times. You don't want to just abandon one. If you think it's funny, don't abandon it after one open mic crowd doesn't think it's funny, because it's just a bunch of comics who weren't listening anyway. Give it a few tries, give it an honest go. But after that, it's like, okay, the foundation seems to be something there, I think. So I'll write it out, and what I'll do is I will write it in a Google Doc, and then I'll highlight in green where the punchline is, and then I'll highlight in yellow where it's either like, okay, it's like a joke, but it's not supposed to be that funny. It's just kind of a in-between joke, or it's a place where there's an opportunity for there to be a better joke. And so from there, I will look at like all the white spaces between the jokes, and like really that's when the editing process starts. Like, okay, there's a huge gap between jokes here. I need to cut all this shit. I need to write a joke in between it, something like that. So that's kind of how it starts for me, because I think in like long essay form jokes. So that's kind of how I have to do it.
And I know, throughout this whole interview, you've actually like told us a little bit about your girlfriend, now wife, and stuff. And she's basically been with you from the top and bottom,
Yeah,
or well,
I'll
the
say.
bottom, then the top, and stuff. What's it like? What do you think it's like for her dating a comic? Because I know, like for me, like because I'm in a relationship, and I know what it's like for her, like basically dating a comic, and it can be very stressful at times. What's it like for somebody like her that's been with you ever since you even started comedy to like now to where you're doing things that you've been doing now, like with the record deal and then special and everything else. Like, what do you think it's been like for her, like in this ride?
Uh, not easy. Is the best way to describe it. Look, it's. I mean, there's a reason that this is not a profession that has a high success rate of relationships. For a very good reason. I mean, and it's because I mean we were together. I did those first few sets, but I mean I really wasn't a comedian back then. And then we had 6 years to build this relationship, and then I was like, hey, gonna completely change my lifestyle, and I'm gonna pursue comedy. And I mean that's not easy. And I mean she's as supportive and amazing as anyone could ask for. But if she weren't that, like, there's no way that the relationship could work, because I mean it is hard. Like, look, it's really hard when she's like, hey, like I got tonight off, or whatever. Like I'm off on Saturday. Like I think we could like go to dinner and maybe hang out and blah blah blah. And I'm like, ooh, sorry, like I got this show. And even like it's like it's not an important show. Like this is not you're not booked. It's not a weekend at a club or anything. But you're like, I mean I have to go, because you just know that that's the nature of the business. You can't just cancel. And then there've been things where like I am free and we do plan something, and I'm like, ooh, hun, I'm so sorry, but this came up. I gotta go. And I
Yeah.
mean it's not easy, for sure. That's why I think, whenever I talk to like my mom and I tell her like, hey, like, this happened. So I mean, things are going okay for me in comedy. And she's like, hey, you need to don't ever for a second forget that this is only happening because she's supporting you, and she's the one that has to watch you drive away every day while you go and get all the glory, which I mean is absolutely true. I mean I get all the credit and she gets nothing, and everyone's like, oh man, this is so good. What a fun life you must have. It's like, yeah, I mean it's fun. Yeah, it's fun, but I got her waiting at home, wondering like, boy, am I going to get to see my, husband this week?
Yeah.
So it's not easy, man. But you really like, I mean, you really have to work to make a balance, for sure. I mean, there are days where you have to be like, okay, I'm not going to go. I'm not booked, so I'm not going to take anything unless something fucking unmissable comes along
Yeah.
where I have to, like, I mean, it's like, do you want to keep your marriage alive or not? I mean, eventually you got to put in some time. Now, obviously the pandemic has been completely different. And I mean, she's like, I mean, I'm sure it's been great for her because, I'm home every night. I'm home all fucking day. I'm sure she's he's probably psyched for me to get back to work, honestly.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing too. It's like, well, at least I ain't got shows for a long ass time. And then next you know, you like gotta be around each other. And it's like, dang, she probably can't wait for
Oh,
me to do another show.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, but yeah, and then I guess speaking about the pandemic, because like right when the pandemic hit, you were like kind of like at the height of your career, because I mean you just had a comedy special just come out. I mean you just got a record deal and everything, and you were touring all over, basically the country, and then the pandemic hits, and you just get like basically brought back to earth. And it's kind of weird because it's kind of like how your 6-year hiatus like started. It was just like, okay,
Yeah.
like you were killing it, then just all of a sudden, just out the blue, this comes, and then like 6 years. Hopefully the pandemic and comedy clubs not being open doesn't last 6 years.
Holy
Or
shit!
it'd
No
still be
kidding.
great for you. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's crazy because now like you just have to sit back at home now, and you're probably doing Zoom shows or doing the best you can, like
Yeah.
being creative and stuff. So what were your thoughts on the pandemic, like when it first like happened, and then how long did you think it was gonna last? And then like what are your thoughts now? Like basically like do you think like this was all for the better of comedy, or like you don't know if comedy could really recover?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of comics that I talk to say like, dude, I was like at the peak of my career, like when this thing happened. I think we all like had, wherever you are in your career, people that were way further along than me and not as far as me. If you're working hard, you probably are like every year you must think like, hey, this is when like things are really kind of starting to happen. So, I mean, I definitely felt that way for sure. I mean, I had like a lot of gigs booked, and I was like, oh wow, I'm headlining like at clubs and stuff. This is pretty cool. That I'm very excited. Yeah, I mean, I was getting my album released in May, so I was getting ready for that, and we were gonna do like a whole thing where I do like multiple plays, like a little tour to do the release, and then everything just kind of falls to hell, and you just kind of have to. I release this thing from the shadows because it's like I can't go anywhere to promote it. I just kind of release it and let it be. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a challenge. I was hosting at Punchline in San Francisco. It was my first weekend working that club. It was in the middle of March when the pandemic was like hitting. So I was actually walking up the stairs to the Punchline when I got the alert on my phone, and it said like the Warriors announced that the rest of their games will be played without fans. And I was like, oh shit, that's kind of significant. That's pretty wild. And I get there, and it's like the first day I'm working the week, and it was a Wednesday, and it wasn't well attended, but I mean it's a Wednesday show. I mean, so a lot of times they're not. And so then Thursday, I'm on my way to the club, and I get the alert that's like NCAA just canceled the entire tournament. Like it's not happening. I'm like, oh shit. Well, this might be kind of wild. But hey, I'm still working the Punchline this weekend. This is great. And again, not a lot of people show up. And then Friday, I think that's when they like canceled the NBA season, and like they canceled everything basically. And then they were like, we're limiting capacity to like 100 people in San Francisco. And I was like, oh shit, like, are we going to have a show? Cause we seat 200 in this club. And, I mean, like, again, like maybe 50 people showed up. And then we showed up on Saturday, and Saturday they had said like 50 people max, you can't, blah, blah, blah. And we literally like, there's no show, right? There's no way. But we did the two shows, and I was the host. So I was like, hey, we're going to close for 2 weeks. We'll be back, on April 1st or whatever. Check us out. So, I mean, the initial idea was like, hey, we're going to close for 2 weeks. The whole country's going to isolate, and we're going to be just fine. And obviously it was a little longer than 2 weeks. So it's weird because like I am pretty sure I am the last comedian to be on the stage at the San Francisco Punchline. So it's a weird feather in the cap that I do not want. I want that to not be the case because that was fucking March of 2020. So I want that over with. But yeah, I mean, it's been rough for everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, man, because I remember the night the pandemic hit, we were doing a show we were doing a We on the Laugh show at the Ice House in Pasadena.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And when I tell you, it was supposed to be packed. Like we were supposed to have like 125 people or something like that, or whatever. And like literally, like the night before, okay, the NBA thing happened. And we were just like, all right, that's like kind of weird. Like, okay, they're shutting down games for like a foreseeable future. So I was like, okay, well, that just means they're like not having people in big arenas and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, it's a comedy club. And so when I tell you, like, Thursday hit, like when Thursday hit and they basically shut LA down, like, because everybody, and they didn't even really make the announcement yet, but it was like you could hear like through the streets, like, nobody was going anywhere. Like, when I tell you that comedy club, like, literally probably had like 95% of their reservations canceled. And that like had never happened for them before. And they were like, everybody was just running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Like, they didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen. Like, I think the guy was like, oh, like, you guys don't have to do the show tonight. Like, and we'll just reschedule you like next month or something like that. And then like next month turned into another month, and then another month, and then like basically they haven't opened up since. And it was just crazy. But like, I feel like the first couple of months kind of was a blessing in disguise, because I think a lot of comics, like at the time, we needed a break like that to just basically regroup or just do other projects that we have been focusing on. But now I think like a lot of comics, because like I'll talk to a lot of comics now, and they feel like basically like we could have went on and like not missed a day or and still been fine. Like, actually, it's a lot of comics that like think comedy clubs should be opened up right now when they really shouldn't. Well, not yet. I mean, like, until like we start taking the vaccines, because now like the big thing for comics are, and like I'll get your opinion on this, the vaccination. Okay, so do you think that if comedy clubs are like, okay, like we'll open back up, but you know, employees and comics and stuff like that, you got to take the vaccine, like, would you do it?
Well, I mean, I'll take the vaccine the second that they offer it to me, no question. I'm just whatever. I trust, I trust scientists and doctors and stuff like that. So, but also, I say that knowing that I am literally going to be the last person in the country to get vaccinated. I am a healthy, like mid-30s guy, and I've had COVID, so I know I am gonna be like, when I get the vaccine, like then there's gonna be a fucking rager later that night, because that means we're done. That means everybody's got it. Now we can party. So I mean, 100%, I will take it the second that it's offered to me, but knowing that I'm gonna be the last guy in line for sure, where it's like, anybody else, really, this guy, okay, all right, well,
I think you'll be the second. I think you'll be the second to last guy, because your wrestling buddy still has to get the shot.
you think Hulk? Yeah, Hulk needs
still has to get it.
Because he's in a higher age group. I mean, he's been around for a long time. So yeah, I think he needs it. And I'll tell you what, you should see the stains that have accumulated on him. He's immunocompromised. He needs it for sure.
I'm sure Hulk has seen some things, but. Yeah, no, I think like, cause and I mean, you do shows now, and a lot of comics, we do outdoor shows now and stuff, and then we'll do outdoor like shows in front of comedy clubs, and you'll just be looking like, why can't we do this inside? We just space everybody out,
right?
Space everybody out, make people wear masks. Like, why can't we do this inside? Like, cause that's where I think comics are now. We're all frustrated. Like, come on, man, like. We can go eat at a restaurant, but we can't tell jokes. Like,
I think, and I think that's the frustrating part, right? Is that, like, I mean, you just want a little bit of consistency, where it's like, okay, like we're cleared for outdoor dining, and I mean, I'm 3 feet away from this table. I'm not really 6 feet. I mean, everyone's here, but you're telling me that like we can't do this, inside with like a guy telling jokes. I mean, now again, should we be in an enclosed space? Probably not, but could we at least like have the freedom to tell the jokes on the outside, or space people out more on the inside? I mean, to me, it's just there are other solutions that there could be, but again, I'm not like, I understand that it is an absolute shit show trying to figure this whole thing out and please everybody and offer explanations that make sense to everybody, because this is just a very fluid situation and there's not going to be like a perfect solution. I totally understand that, and at the end of the day, you want people to like not die of COVID. I totally understand that for sure. But that being said, all right, Biden, come on, man. We put you in office. Get the fucking vaccine out. I'm trying to get back to some shows. So
I'm trying to get back to real work.
Hurry your old ass up.
Raise my rate back up.
We put you in office for a reason. Get this shit done.
Do you think comedy comedy as an art form, like, do you think it changes when it's outdoors rather than being inside? Like, or do you feel like outdoors or indoors, like, jokes are still the same?
No, I really think it does. There's like a filter that you are talking through when you're doing an outdoor show. You know, I did Laughs Unlimited the first weekend they were back, and we did noise canceling headphones, and so like everyone had the headphones on, and the mic was, you know, the mic was linked to the headphones and everything, and that's great. But I mean, you know, noise canceling, it's not perfect. Like, you're not canceling all the noise. So like when an asshole revs his truck and you know, blazes by, like everyone turns and hears it. So it's not an insulated area where everyone is like, you know, focused on one performance. I mean, there was a Ferris wheel in the background. So like people had other things that they could focus on. So when you're doing comedy outdoors like that, it's like you're talking through like two screens, you know, like the noise canceling headphones and the outdoor distractions. So, I mean, it is different, but I kind of think of it like I've come to think of it as like working out with like a weighted vest, you know? So it's like, okay, you've got a little bit extra that you got to work with, but that just means when it, you know, when it comes time to like really race, meaning like the clubs are open and full and all that, then you're going to run so much faster, because those jokes that you had to like really, really, really work to get people to listen to and understand when there was like the whole outside of distractions and not a proper comedy setting, so people get distracted with their neighbors and, you know, outside noises and stuff. If you can get them to laugh with that there, then it's gonna fucking kill in, you know, a dark room where the spotlight is on you and you have complete control of the audio and you just get to do your thing up there. I really, really think it's like batting with a corked bat at that point. You know, like if you are getting your reps in at Zoom shows and outdoor shows, like this is tofu. Like, wait till you get to the red meat and then you'll see, you know, like your work pay off, I think.
Okay. And so what, like, let's just make a few predictions. What do you see like comedy for Paul in the next 5 years?
I would like to see, well, first of all, I'd like to make the shift to doing it, you know, full time, making it my full career, which, I think if things come back in the next couple of years, I should be able to do that. I've got the goal of doing it, inside of 7 years. And so, if the world opens back up like this year, then I think I should be doing okay. I'd like to put out another special, hopefully with a little bit more distribution, maybe something like, you know, I mean, the goal would be something like a Netflix or something like that. So I'd like to do that. I mean, really, like, my aspirations are strictly on stand-up, man. I mean, I don't, you know, it's like someone asked me like, oh, like, what's your end game? Do you want to do movies? Do you want to do a TV show? And I was like, I really don't. Like, I mean, I'll do it. I'll take a movie, I'll take a TV show in a heartbeat, but only to serve as a mechanism for doing more stand-up, you know, like I'll only do, you know, your sitcom because I know that it'll be a credit for me to use to get more stand-up. This is all I want to do. This is it. I could give a shit about fame or anything like that. I just want to do stand up and be really, really fucking good at it. That is really all I care about.
Yeah, and then I think like most comics now, with the success of shows like Martin and Seinfeld, and just any other show that like comics like get to produce on their own. Like I think that's the only thing like most comics want. Like say if they want to do a movie or a TV show, it's like yeah, I'll do it, but like it has to be on my terms and my control and stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it for somebody else, I'm not really gonna be into it and stuff. So I think you're more along the lines of like I'll do it, but like let me write it out, let me write my like parts out, or let me improv my own lines and stuff like that, and I guarantee you that'll be funny and stuff. Because I can definitely see you if they ever rebooted Seinfeld, you can be the lead, you can be Jerry. Like, you got the height, the hair, everything.
Is that a good thing? Is the height a good thing? I mean, I'm absurdly tall.
People love tall people though. People love
I know,
tall
and
people.
I don't know. This might be a little much for camera. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
you'll
be
fine. You'll be fine.
Squirt it down a little bit.
It's the short people that people really like. It's the short people that people don't like really like. They don't want to meet them in person. They just want to see them on TV. Right. They seem like they can watch you on TV and hang out with you in real life.
Yeah, possibly. So, I mean, I know they, everyone whenever they meet like a TV star, like, oh man, he's way shorter than I thought he'd be, but I don't think that'll be the case for me. So I guess I'll have that going. So it's a good place to start, I suppose.
That'll go well.
Yeah.
So, usually we like to end it with this thing that we like to ask you, basically put together your perfect show. So if you could pick one comedy club anywhere in the world to do a show, which comedy club would it be, and what 3 other comedians would you have join the show with you?
Oh God. Okay. All right. Well, 100% the club that I'd pick would be Laughs Unlimited, but when it's like actually open and stuff, because it's my favorite club in the whole world. I love it. I mean, the crowds are always so fucking fun. It's just a great place to play. I love it so much. Boy, the other comics that I would choose to play with, man, there are so many local amazing comics that I would pick. Like I can't. I'm not gonna pick like famous people. That's no fun. I gotta pick like the squad. Man, and it's funny because I'm just gonna pick comics that would bury me and make me look like unfunny. I gotta pick I mean, let's see. I would pick like, if I'm putting on like the strongest show I could think of, I would pick a guy like Phil Woods. He's a Bay Area comic, absolute murderer. If you guys haven't seen him, like go check him out. Pound for pound, one of the best comics in the Bay Area. Just incredible. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here, so I'm gonna miss some people, or I'm sure. But comics, I'm gonna stick with Bay comics. Like a guy like Daoud Namyar, Ryan Goodcase, Chad Opitz. She isn't here anymore, but Emily Catalano.
We said 3.
I was supposed to pick 3. Oh shit. Am I supposed to pick like host, feature, headliner? Oh shit, I didn't know that. Oh shit! All right.
It's always
no. It's cool. It's cool. All right, I can do this. All right, let's do. All right, let's do. I've seen Phil host like a motherfucker, and he could headline all these. He could headline, but I'll pick him as a host just because he's one of the best hosts I've ever seen. All right, I'll have Phil host. I'll have, I don't know. Man, I don't know who the fuck I would have. This is so hard. I've got so many people. I mean, Phil, like I might have to move it in the headliner because I just love him so much. He's so goddamn good. Let's see. All right, because I'm just doing Bay Area. I'm just doing Bay Area folks, and I'm trying to think of who else. You know what? I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have Chelsea Bierce host because she is phenomenal, great with crowds, and she can get the whole place moving. She's outstanding. Featuring, I think I'll have Emily Catalano feature because I think she's just one of the strongest comics I've ever seen in my life. And then I'm gonna move Phil to headliner because he's so fucking good. So anyway, I'm sure if you ask me like 10 minutes from now, I'll have like 8 different lineups that I could give you, but I will ship that lineup all fucking day. Chelsea, Emily, and Phil, like I guarantee you that will be a murderous show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And then like I guess real quick, like okay, I've like talked to comics from all over, and but it's something about Bay Area comics that like you guys feel like, and in a nice way, you guys feel like you guys are the best like comedians like on the planet. Probably because like in the Bay Area, you guys travel like
it's because we recycle.
Yeah, you guys basically travel all over, and then you get exposure from every like in the Bay Area, like it's like cultures from everywhere just in one melting pot and stuff. So, what do you think separates a Bay Area comic from most other comics?
You know what I think gives us a great advantage is that the Bay Area is, and really just Northern California in general, not just the Bay Area, but Northern California. It is way more diverse than a lot of people might expect that have never been to Northern California because, I think people think that the Bay Area is just San Francisco or something and just one type of audience, very, very woke, liberal kind of audience. But we get the benefit of having so many different kinds of audiences. Like you go, San Francisco is going to be very sharp, very savvy, very left-leaning crowd. You go to, Oakland or San Jose, and it's still like a very like woke crowd, but more on the urban side. So you have to, so there's a different audience there. You go up to Sacramento, and it's sort of like a melting pot. Like there's very like a melding of like liberal and conservative. You go down to the Central Valley, and it's way more conservative. And you just like so you don't have to go like if you're in the Bay Area like I am, like I'm sort of like there's different audiences all over the place. And I think that's what makes the Bay Area and Northern California really churn out such consistently good comics. The NBC Stand Up for Diversity thing, I think like 4 years in a row, like the winners were Northern California guys. And I think more specifically Sacramento guys, because, you go up to Redding and it's super red casino, but like very conservative people. You go down to San Francisco and, you got to have like 8 jokes about kale. And then you go back to Oakland and you better break down some rap lyrics, So I think that's kind of what helps build a good comic from Northern California is you're going to have to do well in front of multiple audiences, because the more you get booked, you're going to get sent to different places where what you did, on Friday ain't going to work on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Okay. And how we finish this is we finish this with a game we like to play called Either Or. Well, basically, I'm going to give you a few comedy topics, and you're going to tell me which one you prefer. Okay. Now, beforehand, this is just your preference. You don't have to sit here and sugarcoat it with us or anything.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Or feel like you have to say this because you think other people are going to boo you or anything like that. We don't want you missing for another 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't need to get canceled, but go ahead. Give it to me.
Okay. So we're going to start off with this. Okay. So Laughs Unlimited or The Comedy Cellar?
It's Laughs Unlimited for sure. 100%.
Okay. George Carlin or Chris Rock?
Oh, fuck. I gotta go Carlin, but you stab me in the heart. Why don't you?
Oh my god. He's like, I wanted to pick Chris Rock so
That
bad.
sucks.
But
Yeah, I know.
okay. Oh man. Okay. So, the Comedy Palace in San Diego or the Comedy Store in Hollywood?
Well, I've not done the Comedy Store in Hollywood, and the Palace let me record my album there. So I gotta go with the Palace for now. I hope to get into the store at some point in my career. That would obviously be where I hope this is all headed, but I gotta go the Palace for right now.
Okay. Adam Sandler movies or Ice Cube movies?
Oh man. Oh God. I didn't particularly enjoy most of what either of them have done. I mean, how many I'm Driving the Kids movies have like both of them done? I mean, God, I sound like such a honky. I'll go with a Sandler just because of but it stops at Big Daddy. After that, I'm not gonna give a shit. I mean, I enjoy obviously a lot of what Cube has done too, but I mean, anyway, I didn't care for any of that.
All right, Bill Burr or Mike Epps?
Oh, Bill Burr. Sorry, God, I gotta get a question that like, can you say something that like gives me like some street cred? Because I'm just picking all the white people. This feels weird.
Oh, you could easily pick Mike Epps, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely could, but Bill Burr's like my favorite comedian alive right now.
Okay, street cred. Okay, here you go. Street cred. Richard Pryor or Paul Conyers?
I mean, obviously me. I'm here to take his crown, motherfucker. Let's do this.
There you go. Now you got street cred. Now you got street cred. Now you can tell everybody, you know what? I'm better than Pryor.
Yeah.
I hate telling everybody this, but yeah, I'm better than.
How many people is this reaching? Jesus Christ! All right, yeah.
Man, we never know. We never know, man.
Pryor. I'll go Pryor on that one.
Nah, man, just say yourself. Just say yourself.
All right, I'll bet on me. Why not? Fuck
like
it.
If I ask you like who would win in a basketball game between you and LeBron, you'll be like LeBron, but look, I ain't gonna lose. like how you think I'm gonna lose.
I don't know what you think of my ego, but there's not one part of me that'll be like, I think I got this.
That's how you build your street cred. Like, I can take LeBron.
I got him. It's like, no, you don't.
I'm pretty sure the white lady that yelled at LeBron
she
thought she could take him.
She's like, you say one more word, I'll fuck you up. Like, what on earth are you? With 3 Louisville sluggers, what would you do? What on earth would you do with this guy in a dead sleep?
Yeah, but we need her confidence. We need her type of confidence in life.
I think we could use a little bit less of that kind of self-assurance from white people. Honestly, there's my woke statement for the day. I think white people shouldn't be as confident as that chick was. That was toxic.
Yes, it was. All right, so if people wanted to follow you on social media, where do they follow you, Paul?
Okay, so my Instagram is at Paul Conyers, just PaulConyers. I have a podcast with my buddy Troy, who I mentioned earlier on this show. We played college basketball together. And it's called the Cotton Polly Blend because his last name is Cotton. I'm Polly, so Cotton Polly. And it's super fun because we talk about a whole bunch of like significant stuff, like race and all that stuff. Because he's a black guy, I'm a white guy, but we also talk about insignificant stuff about like Hey Arnold and Family Matters and stuff like that. So check it out; it's super fun. And then, I have an album on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music called Above the Fray, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. It's called Above the Fray. Check it out. Should be fun.
Nice, man. Well, it was great talking to you, Paul, man. I can't wait to actually share stage with you sometime.
I
soon,
know. Can't
hopefully.
wait to work with you again, man. I mean, we've had some fun times. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You gave me the idea about the shot glasses. That was awesome. Like as part of merch and stuff.
Yes,
Hopefully,
that's right.
I think I took it a step further. I'm trying to do beer mugs and stuff like that. Try a little bit bigger than a shot.
Okay,
But,
that's good. That's good.
But yeah, man. Like hopefully everything is going well for you from here on out. Can't wait to see you again. And
Yeah, you too, man.
yeah, man. And thank you guys for watching another episode of We on the Laughs with Tyson Paul. Check us out next week or subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at We on the Laughs. And you'll hear more great interviews from guys like Paul and other famous comedians around the way. Also, you'll see great topics about comedy and just everything in general about it. So, thank you again. See you next week. And remember to laugh at life because it's actually pretty funny. I'm Tyson Paul. Thank you guys. See you next week.
See you guys. Thanks, bud.